Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a full household CC alpha makeover. So if you guys have been following the Not So Berry series, you may have heard me and Cody mention an orphanage lot that is in our game. And if you're wondering why we have an orphanage, I did explain it a little bit in a previous episode. But the basic quick rundown is that I just needed some NPCs for the background of the world, and I specifically wanted there to be more children in the background as well, because all of the NPCs that I had in my game were just all young adults and adults. So I wanted there to be a little bit more diversity in the types of Sims that you guys see walking around. Now, the characters that are in this household do not really play a huge major part in the story at all. Obviously, they don't really have any connection to Willow. And she is the main character of the series. However, they do have a relation to Alex, who is our main love interest. So I wanted to give them a makeover so that they would stand out a little bit more and that they would be recognizable and not just nameless faces in the crowd. I did want to keep the orphanage running in the background of the series for its entirety. So as this is the first generation of kids who grew up in the orphanage, they are obviously all teenagers now, as you can see. But they were all children originally, and they've all just aged up into teenagers, so they are just now starting high school. But as these kids do grow up and move on, I do plan on cycling more toddlers and children into the orphanage. That way there's just a constant stream of new NPCs and new children that are coming into this area. And I think it's always fun to see, background characters that you recognize and are like, hey, there's so-and-so, or hey, there's that, kid from the orphanage. Oh, they're all grown up now. You get to see, what the background characters are up to and how they age up and grow up into the world. And I just think that's really nice. So enough of all of that. I do want to get into actually talking about each of these characters individually. Before I get into that though, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss out on the future videos. All right, now let's get into it. So I've already talked a little bit through this first character that we've been working on, but this is Alexandra. As a child, she was a social butterfly and her first trait was bookworm. So she always seemed to be this very social and also brainy girl. She kind of gives me vibes like Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls. Very much a leader vibe that she, knows what she wants and she knows how to talk to people. She's very friendly, very smart, and she has goals and wants to achieve them. She actually aged up with this sports enthusiast trait. I considered getting rid of it, but then I thought, you know what? If she wants to climb Mount Komorebi one day, then by God, she can do it. And so basically I left her with that trait because I thought it was interesting. So, she's just kind of a well-rounded person. She's good at a lot of different things. She's very smart, very sociable, likes books, likes fitness, obviously if she wants to climb a mountain one day. And I just thought that was really cool. So she's definitely just very well-rounded and very much a jack of all trades. She definitely seems like the leader of the friend group, the one who coordinates everything, like coordinates hangouts, and everybody just likes her. Some people might think that she's a little bit bossy from the way that she carries herself or talks, but I don't think she ever means to be. I think she just genuinely enjoys planning and enjoys getting everybody to hang out together. Honestly, I relate because that's exactly how I am. I'm a lot more introverted. I think she'd probably be more of an extrovert, but I still definitely am that friend who I want all of my friends to be friends, and I want to, keep everybody in a friend group together. And I feel like that's very much her energy as well. She looks really friendly. She looks like she would be a lot of fun to hang out with. So I really like her. I hope you guys do as well. So next up we have Noah. When he was little, his traits were whiz kid and loner. Because of that, he sort of gave me the vibe of a kid who didn't really have many friends and preferred to just kind of spend time by himself. He was sort of a geeky and shy boy. I thought that, that would probably carry over into him being a teenager, except now, he's older and there's a lot more pressure as you get older, especially around the middle school, high school age, to be cool, to look cool. And so I feel like he would probably go through that phase, where he cuts his hair into like the sort of emo skater boy hairstyle and dress in all black and all that kind of stuff. That was sort of the vibe I got. So he aged up with the geek trait and the painter aspiration, which I also thought sort of reinforced that idea that he was, a geeky and shy boy who liked to draw. And, I understand, I relate, because I'm also a shy, geeky kid who likes to draw, and It was definitely hard in middle school, so I feel for him. But yeah, so that was sort of the vibe I got from him getting older, is that he would just try to be cool, but, you know, still have an interest in things like, you know, comic books, anime, manga. I feel like he'd have a very, like, well-rounded interest in comics and stuff, not really specifically leaning towards anime, not specifically leaning towards Western comics and things. I feel like he'd just have an interest in all of it. I do definitely think, you know, he'd be a big fan of like Marvel and Star Wars and DC. I tried to look through his outfits and see what sort of style to give him, what kind of reinforced that sort of emo, sort of skater, loner boy vibe. And I thought, you know, putting him in a Star Wars shirt and some jeans and some tennis shoes were, you know, the vibe. I also gave him a nice like long necklace and the beanie, of course, as well. So I thought it, you know, was a vibe. And I think that he turned out really cute. I'm actually really happy with the way that he turned out. He definitely, I think, looks the most different from like kid to teenager, more just in style than appearance physically. But he's really cute, and I think that he turned out really well. I hope you guys like him. Next up, we have Chanel. You guys may know her. She did show up in one of the episodes of the Not So Berry series. Hi, Chanel.
Okay. Just smiling.
Yeah. But yeah, so as a kid, she was an artist and a geek. So she definitely also gives off that, you know, artistic, geeky girl vibe, which, just like Noah, I definitely relate to, because that was also me when I was a kid, and I still am, actually. So my main goal with making Chanel, I wanted her to have the most of my little sister's energy as possible. Like she gave off such a vibe that I was just like, I see so much of my sister in Chanel. And if my sister is watching this video, then I hope that you like her. So she aged up with the goofball trait and also the sightseeing around Mount Komorebi trait. And I thought that was perfect because Mount Komorebi in The Sims is supposed to be like a play on Japan. It's supposed to be like an East Asian country that is very Japanese inspired in terms of its culture and the sites and whatnot. So I thought that was really perfect, that especially since she already had the geek trait and was an artist as a little kid, is that she would absolutely be an otaku. She would be into anime and manga exclusively. Like she probably also might like Western stuff, but she thinks that it's all inferior to anime. A girl after my own heart, really. She definitely gives me some like tomboyish energy, but you know, she likes bright colors, she likes pink. She also, not only did I put in a lot of my sister's energy, but I also put in one of my OC's energy actually as well. Now that I'm looking back, that I really wanted her to give off that like fun, sociable, just otaku energy, and I think that it came across pretty well. I also wanted to, you know, make sure that she still gave off the vibe that she was young. So like they all just turned into teenagers right before I made this video, basically. So they're all roughly around 14 or 15 years old. But when I was that age, I, you know, wore like the cat stockings and cat ears and whatever, which I actually still did well into college as well. So it's not just, you know, middle school, but I feel like that's definitely, you know, a young thing that a lot of middle schoolers and high schoolers do, especially girls who are into, you know, geeky things and like anime and stuff. They wear the, you know, the cute cat ears and the stockings, the knee highs, you know, things like that. And I really wanted to just kind of go all out for that. I did consider giving her cat ears, but I thought that it might be a little bit too much with the cat stockings as well. So I just stuck with the stockings. And yeah, I think that she turned out super cute. She's probably one of my favorite, I think, out of all of them, which it's hard to pick because I do like all of them a lot. But I definitely think that Chanel is probably one of my favorite of the bunch. Next on the lineup is Cody. When he was a kid, he was a rambunctious scamp and a kleptomaniac, which he has kept that trait as a teenager. He definitely gave off that like kind of cool kid vibe. You know, he liked to cause some mischief, and I think he's definitely the kid who would act out a little bit more. So as a teenager, he has aged up with the super parent aspiration as well as the materialistic trait, which I think is kind of funny. The materialistic one definitely goes hand in hand with the kleptomaniac trait, So he definitely wants nice things and doesn't mind taking them when he sees them. But the super parent aspiration is definitely what, throws me off the most. He could possibly definitely mature a lot as he gets older. But I think right now he's just kind of the cool kid, and he, definitely has an image and a reputation to keep up. He definitely sort of plays into that reputation that he has built for himself, and doesn't really want anybody to see him as being like soft or sweet or anything. He's like, no, I want to be like a cool and tough kid. I think he probably picks on some of the other kids like Noah, who is obviously, a geek and a loner. So I think he kind of picks on him a little bit. I don't think the two of them have a very good relationship. I've also noticed too that I think a lot of the girls like him a lot. They think he's very handsome and that he's grown up very good looking. So that also might, help him to weasel out of any trouble that he might get into amongst his peers. I think he's cool. Definitely, not a bad kid, but probably, tries to keep up that reputation of being the bad and tough kid. And so, yeah, I definitely think he was a handful as a kid. Probably still a handful, definitely the troublemaker of the class in high school. But overall, I think he's deep down, he's a good kid who's just kind of acting out a little bit. Obviously, they all did grow up in an orphanage, so he probably is acting out a little bit more due to not having any parents. So, but I am interested to see how, he'll grow up and probably mature, and, hopefully he will reach that aspiration of being a super parent and a great dad one day. Okay, so if I had mentioned before that Chanel was one of my favorite Sims to make on this, I'm gonna add on that Abby here is probably my favorite one. She was my favorite to make over. I just knew, as soon as I saw her and as soon as I saw her traits and whatnot, I knew what I wanted to do with her immediately, and I had so much fun with her. So Abby, when she was a kid, was also a whiz kid and a genius. So we've had a lot of whiz kids in this house. There's, I think, 4 of them. They all have a different secondary trait. So she was a genius, and so she was just the smartest out of all of them. And so she has aged up with of course, the genius trait and also the neat trait. And then she has also aged up with the academic aspiration as well. So she definitely wants to continue her higher learning, go to university. As a kid, she looked like a tiny Miss Frizzle, with, the red curly hair. And she just had this sweet and fun vibe to her that, I thought that she would end up wanting to grow up and be a teacher, especially since she's so smart, so academic. And so I wanted to kind of go with that vibe that she would really be just a nice girl, very friendly, very, very smart, and that she would want to be a teacher when she grew up. She did also age up with this turtleneck and cozy coat look, which I did attempt to emulate, but I decided that I actually really, really liked this more spring top that I put on her. And every single color swatch of it looked good on her, but I decided to go for the yellow because it was just a really bright contrast to her red hair, and I thought it gave her a very spring and summery vibe, and she's just very cute. I really, really like her design a lot. There isn't really much else to say. She's just, I think, a super smart and friendly girl and knows what she wants to do. Everybody likes her. Sort of like Alexandra, but a little bit more on the brainy side, whereas Alexandra is, I think, a lot more fun-loving and extroverted, whereas Abby is a little bit more introverted, but still has just this nice springy vibe to her, and I think she's very, very cute, very pretty. I like her a lot. She's absolutely, I think, my favorite out of all of them. Next up is Jack. I feel like he's probably the one that I have the least to say about. When he was a kid, he was also a whiz kid, and he was a music lover, which he has aged up with that music lover trait. And then he's also aged up with the self-assured trait and the bodybuilder aspiration. When he was a little kid, he didn't really stand out all that much. He seemed to, be a little bit more introverted. He seemed to enjoy spending time by himself. I, of course, never played the Orphanage household, but I think during the time that, we spent visiting with Willow during the Not So Berry series, I think the only time I ever really saw him, he was playing chess and keeping to himself. Oh, I think he also hung out maybe with Alex one time at the shopping district. I think when we met Alex, Jack was actually the one kid who was with him. So I think Alex had taken him out to go shopping. But other than that, we didn't really get to see him playing with the other kids or anything. So I feel like he'd also be a little bit more introverted and really just pouring himself into, music and really, really enjoying it. So I feel like he would grow up and want to maybe be a musician. I know that he has grown up with the bodybuilder aspiration, but I feel like on top of that as well, he would also want to, have a hobby making music. And I feel like he would enjoy singing and probably enjoy like hip hop music and be really interested in that and maybe want to make it as well. So that was kind of the vibe that I got from him. He also definitely grew up a little bit more confident, so that's good. I feel like now that he's a teenager, he's kind of opened up more and become a little bit more confident in himself. And he's still introverted, I think, naturally, but he does gravitate more towards the group and he does actually hang out with the other kids now. So that's definitely a good thing. Yeah, like I said, I don't have as much to say about Jack, but I do like his design a lot. I had a lot of fun dressing him, and I really like this hairstyle that I put on him as well. The braids pulled back into the ponytail. I think that's a really cool look. So that with like the hoodie and the baggy pants and the headphones that I gave him, obviously because he's a music lover, he loves listening to music. So I definitely like the design that I gave him, and I hope that you guys do as well. And last but not least, we have Macy. She also was a whiz kid, but she's also a perfectionist. And then she has grown up with the cheerful trait and also the culinary aspiration. So the vibe that I always got from Macy, especially since she was a perfectionist when she was little, is that I always saw her as being kind of the bossy type as a kid. Not really in the sense of being mean, but just in the sense of like everything. Like she's definitely, I think, was an only child when, before coming into the orphanage. And she was used to only being, the one kid, and everything needed to be perfect all the time. I don't really think about, the kids' home lives before coming to the orphanage because they're, irrelevant. They don't really matter. But the one that I had kind of thought like a little bit about was Macy. And I had sort of thought that maybe her parents, before coming into the orphanage, were a little bit more strict on her, very concerned about her grades, very, act like a lady was a big thing. She was always wearing like dresses, and her hair was always done really nice. And so I wanted to believe that she kind of grew up with that sense of like, you always have to be pretty and nice and sweet and talk like a lady and have good grades and be very like, I feel like her parents were a little bit controlling in that aspect. And so I think she just kind of grew up like that before coming into the orphanage. And then that kind of carried over. So now she's not, the only kid around, and she has to kind of learn how to get along with her peers and stuff. I really liked that thought. Also, I'm not very good at determining like ethnicities through facial features or anything like that. But for some reason, I saw her and I thought that she probably was like Indian, like that her, family before was from India. I think that maybe she probably was, born and raised in America, or I guess the American equivalent of, The Sims. But I want to say that, her family is probably from India. And so I'd like to think that she has a little bit of an Indian accent. I thought it would be very cute. Now with her, as a teenager, she has aged up with the culinary aspiration. I want to believe that she's always had an interest in cooking and always, maybe before liked to help out her mom in the kitchen, or help out her family in the kitchen. And I really like that thought that that was something that she really enjoyed and wanted to continue, now that obviously she is in an orphanage and separated from her family, but that she has always kind of retained that love for cooking and being in the kitchen. I'd like to think that she likes to cook meals and help in the kitchen at the orphanage as well. I feel like before she was probably a little bit more shy and a little bit more uptight, but now, that she's a teenager, she's now aged up with the cheerful trait. And I like to think that that is her growing up a little bit more happy and able to, kind of let loose a little bit around her friends and such. So I really like her. I think she turned out super, super cute. Like her face and, like as soon as I saw this hair and dress, like I saw it and I was like, this is perfect. I love her. I hope that you guys like her as well. Okay, so that is all of them, all 7. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys listened to me ramble about each of these kids through this whole video, then thank you as well. And let me know what you guys think of them. I would be really curious to hear, you know, your guys' thoughts, opinions, anything you guys want, write it down in the comments below. I would be happy to see them. And tell me which one of them is your favorite. Like, I had so much fun making all of them, and you know, it's so hard to pick a favorite just because they're all great. But yeah, I'm curious. I want to hear, you know, who you guys liked the best, because you know, like I said at the beginning, they don't really play a huge role in the active plot of the series, but they'll definitely be there in the background, and they will definitely make appearances in the series as well, just as side characters. So, you know, let me know who you guys want to see more of. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.